Welcome everyone to the 6th PAVE Europe virtual panel. I'm very happy today that we are having this conversation on AVs and road safety. So we would like to talk about expectations and potential benefits. As you know, road safety is also high on the European agenda. And one of the primary expectations regarding AVs is a substantial reduction in road accidents. Most of the road accidents occur due to human error, such as distracted driving, speeding, or drunk driving. And AVs have the potential to eliminate these risks by eliminating the human factor from the equation. With their ability to perceive and analyze the surrounding environment more accurately and react faster than humans. So AVs can really minimize the likelihood of collisions and errors on the road. The European Commission also estimates that connected autonomous vehicles could reduce traffic accidents by up to 90% and save around 25,000 lives per year in the EU. So that's from the European Commission study in 2020. So in this conversation today, we want to delve into the various impacts of fully autonomous vehicles on road safety, exploring the initiatives undertaken at the UNICE level, within also the International Road Safety Observatory, and the technical and legal level. And I'm very happy that to address these concerns and opportunities today, we have three amazing experts with us. George Yannis, professor at the National Technical University of Athens. Hello, George.
Hello, thank you.
Then we have Lucas Bublitz, team lead technology and regulation at P3 Group. Hello, Lucas.
Hello from my side. Nice to be here.
And Luciana Iorio from the Italian Ministry of Infrastructures and Transport, and also chairperson of the UNICE Global Forum for Road Traffic Safety. So it's a real pleasure to have the three of you with me today for this conversation. Very important, I would say, about road safety, because it's one of the, let's say, the clear potential benefits of autonomous vehicles, and expectations are high. So, but I want to discuss with you about these expectations. Before we go into the, let's say, the discussion, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself and what you do, what's your role, and also your link with the AV space. And I would like to start with you, Luciana. If you can tell us a bit more about also your role at the UNICE and what you do.
Okay, thank you to you and Guido, Mr. Di Pasquale. Thank you to the distinguished colleagues. I am grateful and happy to share this information in this, let's say, very well thought panel. So Global Forum for Road Traffic Safety at the UNSC has a very multifaceted agenda. And of course, by the name itself, we deal with road safety policies, and we want to deliver road safety policies and guidelines reaching out the, let's say, all the regions of the world. This is something to be borne in mind when we consider the evolving automotive technology and how it could deliver growth and progress. This is relevant. Why am I saying that? Because nowadays, and I will launch that as a stone in the pond, we have, let's say, the very concept of road safety has been morphing in something which is, let's say, bigger than it used to be in the past decades. Now, road safety really involves a lot. Involves safe mobility, involves inclusive mobility, involves the capacity of, let's say, delivering a different layout of traffic where interaction among all road users is really safe. So it's not only as it was once, you know, you had the road traffic code and it was about vehicles and, you know, the how to interact with the traffic. Now it is much more. It's road safety is really, let's say, the game changer mobility as it is cast in the Agenda 2030. So going back to the point and the crux of this panel, we are analyzing this very point of road safety, the transformational role of technology, because I really believe in that, and how to, let's say, cast policies and guidelines which could be useful for the society, because we need the social acceptance, and of course for everyone everywhere. This is a sort of motto, but it is something that we should all be considering. So the agenda is not easy, because of course, you know, we are working on a topic which is evolving while we work on it. So it's not easy even at some time to frame the discussion, to cast. I know the colleagues, maybe some are online, you know, sometimes we get really frustrated because, you know, I mean, there is so much to say, so much to do, and we wanted to thread carefully. But I think that as you introduced it, technology, AV, and then what is called, you know, the evolving of that, you know, the machine learning applied to automotive technology, and what will be the future evolution, you know, will really, let's say, make the magic. Now, the point is, what is more difficult is to live in between as we are now. So this is just to say how heavy is the agenda, but I will not go on because I don't want to scare the present and future attendees of the forum. So
thank you very much, Luciana. Well said. And George, can you please introduce your role as well as professor, but also what do you do in the road safety space?
Thank you, Guido, and thank you for this invitation. It's a great pleasure to be with key experts in the field and have this nice discussion. Very briefly, I am professor at the National Technical University of Athens and director of the Department of Transportation Planning and Engineering. And our research group, it is a center of research excellence with more than 35 years of experience on road safety, where we cover all aspects of safety. We have a large network of cooperations with other institutes, with a lot of committees worldwide, our global newsletter. And of course, concerning SICAM, we try to decode the future with connected, cooperative, automated mobility already for a decade. We have been, and we are involved in several research projects, mainly Horizon projects, with SHOW, where there are 12 great pilots, with Hadrian for human machine interface, Levitate with the socioeconomic effects of SICAM, Drive to the Future for the behavior of the road users. And today we have been granted in the framework of Mission Cities, a big project on called MetaCage, where we will test SICAM in cities. So we are very much involved, and we publish all this in presentations, conferences, journals, and several committees. And today it is a great pleasure to further discuss, because working for the future, it is our role. We do have patterns that one way or the other are used to influence the development of SICAM.
Thank you. Thank you for introduction, George. And Lucas, what about P3 and your role at P3?
Yeah, thank you, Guido. So first of all, also thank you for the invitation for the discussion afterwards. So we as P3, to make it short, we are international technology-oriented consulting company. And within this consulting company, we have one big expertise topic, which is autonomous mobility. And I'm leading in this area our technology and regulation team, together with one of my colleagues. And actually, what Luciana already mentioned, she said you're frustrated about it, but actually we are looking forward about all the regulation which you already achieved within the UNEC group, because we are the customers actually who try to implement these regulations within our at our clients. And why it's so important, because the regulation, that's great. It's not just focusing on the product side, it's also focusing how the organizations have to react, or how do they have to develop and to deploy cars. And that's actually that's are two interesting parts of it, also in terms of as we're looking at these regulations. And that's what I'm also looking forward to discuss with you afterwards.
Thank you, Lucas. And let's start the discussion with George. Yeah, the academic research perspective is also good. It's always good to set the scene. Let's say I would like also to refer to the policy framework from the European Union 2030 towards Vision Zero, which is I think an important reference for all of us. So that the EU has reaffirmed long-term strategic goal to set to get close to zero deaths and zero serious injuries on EU roads by 2050. So this is the Vision Zero for EU, but also in the this I think George could set the vision also and how AVs can contribute to reach this Vision Zero. So what are the trends where we are so far? And what are the expectations and potential benefits of AVs to reach this vision?
Listen, perhaps US is advancing quickly on automation, especially in the industry. However, the European Union is faster in terms of supporting the implementation by legislation and all the necessary instruments. Already since 2018, in the European Strategy for Road Safety, there are concrete priorities and 8 concrete priorities, and priority number 7, it is promoting automation in order to achieve all the main targets in terms of fatalities, but also all the main strategies in terms of safe system approach, of Vision Zero by zero fatalities by 2050. And in fact, the global new trends are always coming from Europe. It is the European Union strategy which dictated the UN strategy on safety, one way or the other. So Vision Zero, it is the ultimum objective, started in Europe and we're working in Europe on this. And the European Union is putting in place specific instruments. It's not just strategy, and to say that it's not only priority number 7, there are another 3 priorities: roads, vehicles, and road users, where there is an explicit mention on the role of automation. The European Union has already some concrete steps. And of course, a first step towards automation, it is advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, where we have this safety regulation a couple of years ago, which is introducing the standards, and one way or the other also some compulsory systems today for the vehicles, tomorrow also for the drivers, where we are giving control from the driver to the vehicle in order to be safer. Of course, some of them are under testing, some are very efficient, some other less efficiently, are working less efficiently. However, the way it is paved by the European Commission in terms of rules, and also, most importantly, through a very huge research program under Horizon Europe, but also within Mission Cities research, where in transport, most of the funding, a big part of the funding is going to CCAM, Connected Cooperative Automated Mobility, where there are a lot of case studies, there are a lot of real-time deployment of automated vehicles, where there is an holistic approach, not only on vehicles, but also user acceptance, driver and pedestrian and cyclist acceptance, and all these issues, especially in the cities, which is the key issue about automation. So the European Commission is working on this with concrete measures well advanced in most other developed countries. And the industry goes together with the European Commission laws and initiatives. So there is work, and perhaps we have the possibility today to already demonstrate some of the findings and some of the best examples how we go towards Vision Zero. But to conclude this small introduction, I believe that there is very fundamental for anyone to understand that we are talking about automation. Automation is going to be very helpful for road safety. However, we overestimate the role of automation to safety, and we have to work in order to really put automation in our everyday traffic and reach in that way the Vision Zero by 2050. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And I think we can go to you, Luciana, because George set the scene and told us about the framework from the European Commission side. What is your reaction to that? And also what is the work that you are doing with the Global Forum to contribute to the development of the policies and guidelines and regulation to ensure this safety that we all aim to?
Yeah, thank you, Guido. I was following carefully the excellent wording of Professor Yannis. I mean, the issue, yes, about over-reliance on automation, but I will leave that and I will focus on your question. What we are doing? Well, first of all, we have two global forums, as you know, as two main tools, which are treaties in its mandate. These treaties are well known as the Conventions on Road Traffic 49 and 68. So in order to accommodate, I will try to shrink in a nutshell, in order to accommodate the role of automation and considering that the conventions made reference to the role of the usual, we would say, human driver. So we have been working on amendments to the conventions. At the same time, we are working on what we call the resolutions, which are, while the amendments are binding because they go and change part of the conventions, which is a treaty, and so is binding for the states who have been the contracting parties who have been signing up that treaty at that time. The resolutions are a bit more a flexible tool, which is non-binding and gives everyone, let's say, that flexibility necessary for a technology which is evolving. Because the real, and having said that, which could be quite boring, this is why I did try to, let's say, be very, very short on that part, because we can really get entangled in a very legal issue. The real point is that we need to address the role of the driver or the role of the human or what is called the user in charge, you know, the whatever you want to call the remote driver, you know, you have it, you name it, you know, there are all sorts of, let's say, new, how can I say, issues which are linked to the different aspects of technology. So we are called to work on that, a new scenario in which the human is involved, but it's not only the human as a driver, is also the human as a traffic and road users, mainly road users, and especially vulnerable road users. So this is why we are using the amendments for, let's say, when related to something that it was urgent in order to allow technology to enter and the contracting parties to use that technology. And we are using resolution in order to have more time to resonate on what is really needed. Because the point is that as a technology, this kind of technology is evolving. There is no point just in dishing out, you know, regulation one after another, if then you have not really the idea on what is really going to be useful, what is really going to serve the societal needs. And again, you have heard me saying that we don't want to create needs. We want to serve needs. And this is something which is important. You know, I would fight on that. I know that maybe is not appealing for, you know, from the commercial side, but I think that this is, let's say, a false view, because something which is not, let's say, going to serve needs has a very short life. You know, that's it. Is going just to be trendy, but then it will fall short. And then something which is really as an incredible societal acceptance, which is really going to make the shift on a different life on the move, that is going to be the one and only winning and catching the market share. That's why I mean, I am more careful in dishing out in let's say regulation and so on, because we have really to think about what is going to be useful. Not easy, because it's something which is evolving. We don't know. It's the same that the colleague on with dealing with artificial intelligence on other aspects they are dealing at this moment. For example, the new verbal, you know, technology and so on. But this is something that we have to bear in mind. Because you know that as a chair of the Global Forum, I can go on for hours. It's almost like, you know, a baseball player or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, enough. You have.
But thank you for now. But I would like to come back also on these societal needs, because they're very important, and especially for PAVE Europe.
Yes.
But now, Lucas, with you, because you said you are implementing, or let's say transforming into technical specifications and to reality what is done at the UNICE level or the institutional level. So mainly you are dealing with technical challenges, and what are for you these main challenges to address, that we need to address to realize these AV benefits, especially in terms of safety, of course? And
yeah, thank you for the question. So actually, I would like to make 2 points which are important. First one, which Luciana already mentioned and outlined it. So there was a need from the industry for regulation, and UNECE on one side for the level 3 applications, and also like the EU in terms of the EU Implementing Act for Autonomous Vehicles level 4 delivered in terms. And this was like, this is a blueprint, yeah. And there was another statement from you, George, where you mentioned we're going here in the lead in terms of the regulation, and also other markets are looking at Europe, how we react with this regulation. And what we already see is that players from other areas of or other countries outside the EU looking at our regulation as a blueprint. Yeah, they say it's not perfect everywhere, but of course a lot of things, as you already mentioned, Luciana, like remote assistance, which management system at least organizations have to fulfill. Yeah, all these parts are firstly described in hard words, and not just in let's say in a paper. They are really brought down to the paper, and they're published as a law. And this is like where I have to say from an industry side, yeah. So you delivered in this term. The question which you already mentioned, Guido, and where I see actually the point, or like the work to do, or to continue is, so we have now regulation for the first deployment of AV fleets or AV cars. Depends a little bit on the use case, or strongly actually depends on the use case. So if it's a mobility as a service fleet, or if it's like a private owned car, like a highly automated private owned car. And the question what we actually facing is always how will the regulation affect us if we want to scale? And it also is actually the question which will come up to the city is how are we scaling autonomous fleets within our cities? Because it will affect us in different ways. It will affect our we had already discussions a couple of days before, Luciana, how our public transport system will be affected. It's also, of course, what also a big question is, and this is still a little bit unclear, is the terms of behavior law. And I just want to mention that we exchange the human driver by a automated driver or by a self-driving system, it also affects a lot of different questions in terms of behavior law, which are around it. Yeah, in terms of how to react in emergency cases. Yeah, of course, also how to behave in terms of what happens with the passenger within the car. And these are questions we don't see them so much in pilots with a small number of cars. We will see them quite if we want to scale this technology. And we also totally agree with you. Autonomous vehicles are not, the technology is not changing our city. Yeah, it is the use cases and how we adapt this use case within our city. Yeah, and the regulation can provide at least a minimal set of requirements, but of course we have to define on the social level, we have to define on the city level, the further, let's say, requirements which we want to give to this technology. So I would say it's more the enabler, and like I come back with the from an industry perspective, or from which using the regulation, is that this first blueprint is actually a good thing to work. I think, of course, we have to adapt it, because the new challenge is not to bring it just in small pilots, it's to bring it in larger numbers and fleet numbers.
Thank you, Lucas. And this societal aspect is coming back again. So that's why I want to go back to you, Luciana, and ask you regarding this ensuring public trust and acceptance of autonomous vehicles, considering concerns that people may have related to safety and liability. So what the UNIC, the Global Forum, is doing in this perspective? So because this is also a field of collaboration with PAVE at the end.
Yeah, thank you. And this is a very interesting aspect. Of course, I would allow me to let's say cut the corner and let's say look at the situation through from a different perspective. Why do we really need technology? Why do we really think that technology will really, change the life on the road? Because we have been not able to rule the human behavior. That's what we are saying. We are saying we are not able to cast the right traffic codes, or we are not able to do the right enforcement. So we do need the technology on board, because if this is what we have in mind, that the technology on board is going to do, let's say, to do better than us in what we failed, this is not going to work. This is me saying. Why is that? Because the driver or the users, whoever is going to be in charge, needs to be trained too, and so if we have not been able to create a good road safety culture, which does apply now, it will not work even when technology will be highly deployed on board. So we have to, let's say, to make up our mind and saying, why do we want the technology on board of the vehicle? And it's not only just because, we are going to curb the fatalities. I don't think that there is this really such a easy balance, that technology on board, the fatalities will go down. I really can't see like that, because there are so many factors, entwined and to be factored in, and so on. Is not so easy. So as a policymaker, we are much more responsible than we think we are, because now we are envisaging a sort of special car, with just let's say, how can I say, absolving our sins, I would say, in a religious way, saying, okay, the car is highly autonomous, so fair enough, whoever is on board is going, that's it. But it's not so, because we need the rules. You need to inform the driver, you need to inform the other road users, you need to create a different road traffic environment, and you need to consider many other factors, which for me now, they are overlooked. So I really like this panel. I really like PAVE Europe and PAVE Global, because I also follow what the US colleagues are doing, and it is this sometime I met, I think, some of them in at the TRB, and that was an excellent momentum, and that is the real issue, because we know that technology is going to be, let's say, what is what we need. We know that, but the point is that we cannot, let's say, get away from our responsibility. That's the point. As a policymakers, as a, I don't know, city council, as a, I don't know, as in the industrial sector as well, all together, and academia, because as I said, for me, some aspects are not considered. The socio-demographic change, and that is one of the issue, how the cities are going to change, because believe me, the post-pandemic urbanism is really something which we should take into account, how the job is going to change, and what would really be the need of the future. And last but not least, even though it is not related to what we say, the strict road safety and mobility issue, but it is related to technology and automotive technology, and this is the problem of energy. So the automotive and let's say evolution is going to also to require an incredible amount of energy, whatever energy we are thinking of. We can say, we can start from the oil energy to the prayers energy, just the mental energy. We can think of the rock on Mars if we like that. That's true. But in any case, the autonomous mobility is going to be energy eating, So why am I saying that? Because we are saying one thing and then we are saying another issue. We want sustainable, but we don't have the enough energy to deal with that. We want to be inclusive, but are we sure that everything is so inclusive as we want to be? Beware of the traffic. So, and anyway, so this is why, moral of the story for you and everyone is, there is so much to be still to investigate, so much to learn, so much to understand, and especially all hands on the deck, because really it is a transformational moment, and it is not easy. I'm not saying it is going to be easy, not for now, not for the next decades, but nevertheless we are here because that's our task. I think that we one day, someone would look back and say, God, they were brave. They were starting working on such a transformational technology. That's the point. Enough. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Am I allowed to make one comment, Guido?
Yes,
because
please.
Lucia made a really important comment. So currently, the whole autonomous, let's say, mobility industry, it's an industry-driven approach. What we see in America, what we see also in China. So companies who are developing SDS or self-driving systems, in the field are driving the game. The question, and Lucia made a really important part. As we mentioned, autonomous mobility is not the one technology which changes everything in our life in terms of safety and in terms of mobility. It will be part of it. The important question is, how can we build up this ecosystem? And we have to think about it now, actually, because we should maybe a little bit change. So industry is important to develop this technology also in Europe, not just that we have American and Chinese company. But of course, at least we also have to think about, from our city perspective, is how we bring these cars in our city and how we mix it up with existing forms of traffic. Because it doesn't make sense to build public transport system, to build bike lanes in the cities, and then to deploy massive cars of autonomous vehicles. Because in the end, we shouldn't drive the force in the end that the one which is the cheapest one is the one which wins. This is what we want to avoid. And that's why I totally want to underline the point what Lucia made. It's that we have to now think about also in terms of how we build up this ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. I also want to come back to this human behavior aspects and what you said, Luciana, on in terms of achieving Vision Zero is not simply adding driver assistance systems or implementing stricter penalties on drivers. So it's much more. And from the academic perspective, George, from your side, what is your vision on this? Thinking systematically about road safety means understanding the contributors in whole and to having a holistic approach, I would say.
This is very well said, Guido, and already expressed excellently by Luciana. Human factors are co-contributors, risk co-contributors in almost all crashes. Studies say 90-95% of all crashes, there is a human factor issue. And of course, we have to realize and to be honest with ourselves mainly, that speeding, it is an omnipresent key human factor, which is widely underestimated, not only by the users, but also from the authorities and the industry, everybody. So, Vision Zero is based on the safe system approach. Safe system approach means that we stop blaming the driver, we stop blaming the rider, the motorcyclist, the pedestrian, but we go for shared responsibility between the user and the system operator. System operator is those who are maintaining the roads, is the police, is the industry, who have responsibility for the different elements of the road traffic. So the safe system approach says that we have to provide the user an environment, traffic conditions, which do not surprise them on one hand and forgive their errors on the other hand. In our society, it is fully unacceptable to punish those who are making errors. Everybody is making errors, and we have, first of all, to assist them not to make errors, but in case of this error, to forgive them and not have them in severe crashes. And this applies not only to the drivers. And that was previous decades. Now we have to focus on assisting all road users, and certainly the vulnerable road users, pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists, which account for 40% of total fatalities and 60% in fatalities in cities. So the automated vehicles can certainly contribute both in assisting to less surprises to road users, but also to forgiving their errors and mistakes. So we have to integrate the automated vehicles into the safe system approach, where there is shared responsibility, and we have to work on the responsibility of the car manufacturers, of the city, of the police, in order to achieve really the results towards Vision Zero. And then comes what you excellently said, Guido, the systemic approach. We have to address simultaneously all crash risk factors. I can give you an example. Okay, we're talking lately a lot about citywide 30 kilometers per hour speed limit. Yes, this is nice, but a systemic approach, and if you want also in terms of safe system approach, that means that we don't just put new signs of 30 kilometers per hour and we go to sleep. The 30 kilometers per hour speed limit citywide, it is correlated to improved public transport. It is correlated to improved urban space regeneration. It is correlated to slower vehicle traffic with alternative active traveling, supporting biking, walking, and micromobility, scooters. So this is the systemic approach that you just mentioned, that we have to address simultaneously all crash risk factors, and there comes automation, which will allow, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of vehicles, and in terms of system assisting both drivers and the VRUs to better respect the rules, to lead to slower traffic, and at the end, to lead to less crashes. However, as said, we have to be sincere with ourselves. Automation and safety are the same, are in the same direction, if only we understand that respecting the rules means slower traffic. So it's not something like we continue our speedy habits with automation. This is not going to lead us to any real crash improvement. Automation is going towards respecting rules, slower traffic, less crashes, and we have to realize this. That there is, this is my third point, as excellently mentioned by Luciana, assisting the development of road safety culture through automated vehicles. In fact, the automated vehicles will, I can give you the main example, will guide drivers, but also riders of motorcycles and cycles towards a culture improvement with slower traffic, where with slower traffic we have much less surprises and crashes, and much less severe crashes, less fatalities, less serious injuries. So automated vehicles have to be correlated, have to be interlinked with road safety culture as the final goal to assist towards safer traffic. So what you said formulated very well. We need, of course, the safe system approach that authorities and the industry work for safety together with the users. We need the systemic approach, but all this with addressing all crash risk factors simultaneously, but all this towards developing a road safety culture where the users gradually realize what does it mean and what does implies to travel in the city more safely, more public transport, more active traveling, and more slow traffic. So there is a cultural and habits change which is led by automated vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Yes, this cultural change is very important. It will be crucial in the next years. So now a last round of questions, quick answers, starting with Lucas. So we talked about the technology. We talked about the increasing also level of automation that we are seeing. So, but I was wondering if you see some new risks linked to the introduction of ADS that we are not seeing.
Yeah, so actually from now I come back to my technology point of view. So as we currently develop and deploy cars in total, yeah, we work until the SOP, the start of production, and then we only try to update in terms of safety critical or of course features which our customers demand. Actually, AVs are in a highly dynamic environment working, yeah, and especially when if we have fleets and we want to scale up these fleets, not just in one city, not just in one country, like more or less maybe AV manufacturers will deploy cars in a couple of cities, in a couple of environments. And of course, these AVs have to follow the changing regulations, not just in terms of like type approval or technology regulation, also in terms of traffic code, in terms of city tailored regulations. And we always have to adapt these cars and these fleets. And we always have to adapt it on regional regional incidents, accidents, etc. And if you want to scale, or if we scale up these fleets in larger numbers, and we're not talking about 1,000, we're talking about 10 to 100,000, yeah. And we're not covering like we do now, like currently each AV which is on the field maybe is covered by 10 people in the organizations, let's say it like this, yeah. And what I'm a little bit afraid or concerned right now in the next 4 to 5 years is what happens if as I mentioned again before, when we scale these fleets, yeah, and how we react on safety incidents, and how we react on incidents with other road participants. And this is a question, of course, which have to be focused on the AV manufacturer or the AV owners, but it also will affect our society, how we deal with also with AVs in our all-day life. And that's what we already see in San Francisco, yeah. And there we have, I don't know, right now between 40 to 100 AVs on the street, yeah. And I think that's one of, in terms of what I think. So what will happen if we have larger and more numbers of AV cars on the streets?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Lucas. And George, it's more personal questions that I'm following very closely what you are doing and the marathons that you are running to sensibilize the public opinion on safety and the 30 kilometers per hour speed limit in cities that you mentioned before. So this is a great initiative, of course, and my question is, how can we sensibilize the people, engage with the public, and communicate about safety in an effective way?
Listen, we have to pass the message much more clearly. And certainly, academic and research players are not enough. Okay, we're talking about science, but this doesn't speak to the heart of the people. And if we want to change the road safety culture, we have to be much more professional in terms of specialists, of social impact on culture, changing culture. I realized this through all these years that our science is not enough. It is the fundamental basis. And as an example, it is my campaign that I decided to combine my passion of running marathons with the passion of improving safety, and run 30 marathons in 30 months in order to promote the 30 kilometers per hour. And I can tell you that in my LinkedIn and my Facebook, in all our media, I have 10 times more visits and likes than in my scientific high-level presentations, because this talks to the people. And there is a discussion there because not everybody is positive on this. But this is just an example of how we have to be really working more targeted on campaigns. Just one word from this experience. Very often people say, there is no need that I go with 30 kilometers per hour because with 50 kilometers per hour in my car, I'm very safe in the city. They are very right. Of course, cars in the cities with 50 kilometers per hour are safe, but we are not talking about car safety. We are talking about pedestrian, cyclist, and motorcycle safety. So we are talking for the safety of the others, and the 50 to 30 kilometers change makes a very big difference in saving lives of pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. And this is the challenge for automated vehicle, to capture and coordinate best in the cities with all the VRU's traffic. So let's work together on this by all means. And you're doing an excellent work in PAVE, not only in scientific work, but also in business, in promotion. So let's share our efforts towards a better road safety culture.
Definitely. Thanks a lot also for showing the nice picture, George. So that's very important. I want to close with Luciana. Open question. I just leave you the the couple of minutes left for our very interesting conversation, what we would like to give as a final message for our discussion.
Okay, well, so many interesting, thought-provoking, let's say, topics have been mentioned. So I will try to be thought-provoking myself. So in order that maybe, you know, this dialogue will hopefully continue both at the institutional level with the engagement in the global forum, but also we can meet again. So of course, the idea, let's say, pursued at EU level of slowing down, you know, is excellent, because the vulnerable road users and the fatalities in the cities especially are just rocketing. And that is, let's say, it goes without saying. On the other hand, I would use this word. I am not, let's say, in favor of demonizing the cars. You know, saying that, you know, everything is happening because of the cars, you know, and because of the vehicles and because of that. Because let's not forget that the introduction of the cars at the beginning of the 20th century has had the same transformational power of the press in the 1500, you know. So because the vehicles, the mass, let's say the public vehicles or the individual vehicles, individual cars have really changed the way that the society has been living, thriving, succeeding. The cities have changed and so on. So once again, you know, is not to demonize the object. It's a question of believing in road safety culture. You know, is believing in making believe that road safety is a value, that protecting the life and well behaving and safely interacting in traffic is a value. Now, as Professor Yannis George was very, let's say, precisely saying, and it was pointed out by Lucas as well, you know, the issue is that how to reach out in a capillary way the society out there. This is a challenge that we bear as well when we are sitting in the Palais, because, you know, it's not that the challenge. The challenge is, you know, getting our voice outside the Palais, you know, because they are experts, and my colleagues are really, really highly professional and distinguished people. So why road safety culture is not a winning one? You know, why we as a policymaker, we do not manage to do that? And this is again a social question mark. This goes back to what I was saying, that we should involve more other aspect in that. Maybe because we live in now I will go on something which is, let's say, road safety related, but not so much. Maybe because we live in a egos society, where it's all about me, but I don't care about the others. You know, as long as I am on TikTok and I am an influencer and I'm winning here and there and so on. So maybe we should reach out on something more, let's say, specific, and what is really missing in the road safety message we hand down, you know, in the road safety policies we hand down. And plus, at the Global Forum, we also have to deal with the other regions of the world who have other basic let's say, challenges and needs. But I just, if you may, do I have 1 minute, you know, just to say that
yes,
we are debating one issue, which just gives you the hint, the flavor, how now things are relevant. We have on the agenda, apart from the future of the cities, which is, you know, a brainchild, because I like to foster new ideas on what would the cities look like, you know. But anyway, apart from that, we have a topic saying audio and visual signaling of automated vehicles, you know. And why is that? Because both at the other group, the WP29, which is the technical group, very expert colleague, and on our agenda, we are debating this topic. We don't have a solution. Don't worry. No, we don't. But we are debating that because we have someone comes and say, no, it's going to overload the cognitive aspect and, you know, too many signals and in the traffic. And others are saying, yes, it's very helpful for road users and the other road users, the vulnerable ones, for bikers, you know, for those using mobility, personal mobility devices and so on, to know if a car is on, let's say, ADS, if it has the system working, or if it is a fully automated vehicle driving, because they will drive by the book. And that is the big challenge. Let's not forget. So we are debating that. Why am I saying that? Not only because a few minutes are missing, but because to say that that is an issue that is still, let's say, highly debated, and we will have on the agenda as well. And the colleague at WP29, they are discussing that as well. What is the meaning behind that? Is that we really don't know what is the message, the road safety threshold, the social acceptance, or when we deal with automated vehicles. You know, would the people be scared? Would they behave? Would they stick by the rules? Would they instead play the pranks, you know, and confuse the vehicles even more? You know, these are all the issues. But just to say that there is a lot to do, and I'm happy to work with such excellent colleagues, both in the global forum at WP29 and with you all. So thank you, Guido. I would like to have more of these panels. Thank you.
Thank you. For sure, we will repeat it in the near future, because it's very important discussion that I enjoyed very much, and I hope the attendees and the audience also enjoyed as I did. Unfortunately, our time is up, but I would like to thank you, Lucas, Luciana, George. It was a great conversation. Of course, the videos will be available on YouTube channel and the PAVEcast as well. So for those who couldn't attend, they will have the possibility to listen again to this recording. And yeah, thank you all for joining us today, and looking forward to see you next time.
Thank you, and a very
Thank
happy
you.
summertime. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.